trans issues started picking up steam in the United States, what were the arguments? People should treat these people like they're human beings. We shouldn't denigrate them because they are trans, right? Like, would you sit there and shit on someone for being gay, right? Especially at that time. I think that, hatred of gay people was not very popular, right? It's got a resurgence, probably because of the extreme positions that people on the left have taken towards trans people, in my opinion. But when I was in high school, it was really, really, looked down upon to hate gay people, right? It was really just not a cool thing, right? We didn't even have, marriage for gay people, and people were shunned for being extremely homophobic. The arguments that we were hearing back then, mostly these came from people like ContraPoints, right? H-Bomber Guy, all these early bread tubers who really set the tone for what it meant to be a video essayist, right? This was just a thing that was out there. And we got all these arguments and explanations as to what it meant to be trans, right? And there was some incongruity between, your body and your mind, and you felt a certain way, and it made you feel like shit when people called you a man when you actually felt like a woman. And a lot of these arguments are very, very easy to sell to most people, because most people, believe it or not, don't like being shitty people. Most people don't like being hateful towards groups of people, right? Even people who are the racist by today's standards, right? Their tone is shift significantly, right? If you go to, if you go down to southern Arkansas from where I'm from, right, and you talk to the people down there, there's gonna be some people that say some old people style racism about black people, right? Oh, black people, I just treat them like they're people. They mean well. They're not trying to be racist, right? Because it's not a good look to be a hateful piece of shit. You should love one another, right? Especially in extremely Christian areas of the country, right? But when you come out and you start moving the goalposts to more and more and more extreme positions, right? When you start, having a spite-based or hate-based approach towards advocacy, right? When you could, I hate to make it sound like I'm quoting Dr. King, because I don't know if I am, but if you lead with love, right? You lead with, hey, we just want acceptance, right? We just want healthcare. We just want this. And we want you to have the same thing. I have no hate in my heart for you, right? Generally speaking, those go over well with the public. That's just true. And you're coping if you think otherwise, right? In my online persona, I'm a very aggressive person politically, right? Because there are a lot of really hateful people in the world, and I hate hateful people. But I had an uncle who was a gay rights activist in the 70s and 80s, opened up the first LGBT center in a very conservative area, right? We had him on stream a long time ago, and I have that conversation with him privated on my YouTube just for posterity because he's since passed. But he was a lifelong, advocate for, people's rights, whether you're black, right? He was very pro the civil rights movement, and he did stuff back then, even though he was fairly young. There was the gay rights stuff that he fought for, right? He was against the Iraq War. He ran for Congress, right? And he had this, politics of positivity, right? And I wish that I still had access to my old Twitter, because I had this whole thread on what I think an actual political movement should be centered around. And that is a politics of positivity. If you want your politics, if you want your movement to go forward and have the support of people around you, and you want it to be effective, and you want people to agree with you, you're going to have a politics of positivity where you bring people in instead of pushing people out, right? Instead of, forcing your positions down people's throats, you have to explain it to them and humanize yourself and humanize them, right? Yeah, I think the point of what I was saying here was that the issue is people right now are not leading with a politics of positivity. They are the overwhelming majority of people on the left right now, I think, have a spite-based politics, right? They see people who have done bad things in the past, right? And despite saying that we should, like Dr. King said, judge people based off of the content of their character rather than, the color of their skin. Feels like the left has regressed on that a little bit and are just wholly willing to condemn entire groups of people, whether they're like white people and they want to be, weirdly racist towards white people, or whether they're weirdly like dipping their toe into anti-Semitism with a lot of the stuff that's been going on recently with Israel-Palestine. Like it's largely spite-based. We don't have this, and I'm angry that we don't have that. You can have anger. You can have anger, and that's totally justified and reasonable to be angry that there are, misfortunes in the world, right? But if it's all spite-based, you're so angry about this that you have to find who is to blame and either explicitly or implicitly punish them, either socially or with the with the power of the state, then you're just going to push everyone away. No one's going to like you, right? No one's going to jump on board with what you have to say. Why? Because they think that you hate them, right? And they're probably right. You have to love other people. You have to get people to agree with you, and that's how you build a political movement, right?